Before the arrival of football in Brazil, religion arrived. Christianity, in the form of the Catholic Church, was introduced to the South American footballing giant through the colonial efforts of the Portuguese. It was these powers, combined with the other major colonial empires, that brought African slaves to the shores of the New World.
Notadamente, nesse momento, não há futebol, mas há a tentativa de controle daquele povo que se apresentava em terras brasílias. Outras religiões só começaram a entrar no Brasil através de experiências, sobretudo daqueles que vinham da Europa e da África, porque a experiência africana acaba trazendo alguns ritos locais, ritos africanos, para o Brasil. O que deve ser notado no estudo da religião é que todas essas religiões que chegam ao Brasil passam por um novo olhar, uma nova configuração, uma nova reconfiguração. Porque o que acontece é que não é tão linear essa entrada. Essa entrada da religiosidade no Brasil, ela passa a se adequar também ao povo que está aqui. Então isso tudo não é tão linear. A religião, ela passa ao longo, obviamente, que o cristianismo chega primeiro, né, mas as outras experiências vêm ao largo do processo de colonização e logo em seguida colônia e república.
Well, scholars used to think that when the 12 million or so African slaves were taken to the New World, they lost their identity completely, that they essentially were so traumatized and brutalized by capture, by the Middle Passage, and by trying to survive working on sugar plantations and tobacco plantations and rice plantations, cotton plantations in the New World, that they basically were reformed as brand new individuals, often Christian, in the New World. Now, more recent scholarship has pointed out that that's actually not the case in most instances, that one of the only things, perhaps the only thing, that African slaves could hold on to during the horror of the Middle Passage and arrival in the New World plantations was their faith. And in their faith, of course, in their religious beliefs and their spiritual practices, you had the memory of home. So while it is true that people's identities did change, of course, during the slave trade and slavery in the New World, these African cultural and spiritual beliefs did survive in many ways and in changed form.
Even in this so-called New World, the old stigma of darkest Africa remained.
Devido ao sincretismo religioso, que a gente era muito perseguido, ainda somos, com menos densidade, mas somos perseguidos, nós fomos obrigados.
Eles são partes de uma necessidade que os negros tinham de manter as suas identidades locais vivas, longe das suas terras. Então, assim, como eu estou longe da África, eu preciso de alguma forma manter vivo os meus traços de identidade. Nesse sentido, as práticas religiosas, tanto o Candomblé, tanto qualquer uma outra que que possa ter vindo com os africanos, teve que passar por adaptações, porque, notadamente, a escravidão impossibilitava uma prática aberta dos seus ritos religiosos.
Originating from the Yoruba people of West Africa, Candomblé, as this adapted religion is known, is today spread throughout Brazil. Even youth players at football clubs like Flamengo FC are aware of these practices.
Eu conheço pouco sobre essas religiões, mas eu sei que já vem de antigamente, né? E é mais pro lado da Bahia, Salvador, esses lados lá que tem muito. Eu já até fui lá e presenciei. E é uma religião que eu respeito muito e acho muito legal.
O problema hoje, como eu falei no passado, tem muitos jogadores, tem até uma pessoa que faz contato com a casa de Candomblé. Na verdade, eles estão sempre em busca de saber qual a decisão melhor que eles têm que tomar, a fase está ruim, o que eles precisam fazer para poder melhorar aquela má fase que não está fazendo um gol, que não está podendo assim proceder, porque eles acreditam que no âmbito dele há uma disputa, e onde há uma disputa está sempre um querendo ser melhor do que o outro, então eles se preocupam nessa parte de cuidar do seu espiritual, para que ele possa entrar em campo concentrado, para que ele possa tomar uns banhos, para que o negativo não passe por ele desenvolver um bom trabalho. Tem alguns até jogadores que procuram realmente a casa de Candomblé e pede para não ser divulgado o nome por causa da mídia, para não associar a coisas.
Since Candomblé's roots are in African soil, it is not surprising that football players in Africa seek similar advice and guidance from the spiritual leaders of their traditional faiths.
God is above all of us. He's above even them. He's above them. Actually, he's above all of them, let me put it that way. Because even when they are still alive, they was God. They were praying. Whenever they were praying, they're asking everything they were doing, they were believing in God. You know what I mean? Because even if, or whatever you believe, sometimes I go to my grandfather's grave. When I go there, I don't just call his name. I pray. You know what I mean? So I talk like I'm talking to Jesus. You know what I mean? So I will say they are not the same. God and my sister are not the same. But I believe in them both. But God is above.
The way you would, if a player comes and they tell you, I've got a problem, I'm always injured in the same place, and the doctor, can't tell me what's wrong. They'll sit and we'll do a consultation where I will contact my ancestors and speak to them and find out what is actually wrong with so-and-so, And then they will tell me, if they say that, no, it's because his great-grandfather, who's the one who comes with this gift, says that he's been helping him all this time and he's never stopped to acknowledge him. So now he's not helping him anymore. Then we ask him that, they must ask him, what does he want as a form of thanks? Because people are not the same. It's asking for forgiveness for not giving thanks and give thanks, and asking also that you get the help in the future.
Before we play the game, I ask my sister to protect me, to be with me when I'm playing. And as you see at this Zulu Bangers, I perform rituals like each and every beginning of the year. Yeah, so I believe in that.
I'm believing very, very strong on the ancestors, because every time I believe that they are always behind me. Every time when I'm playing, so I already played, I'm praying for, so that they're gonna help me, so that I won't get injured, because I'm gonna play well, see everything.
South African national football star Steven Pienaar holds a different view of this practice, and it is clear that opinions are divided.
I respect people that believe in that stuff, but honestly doesn't work, and that's just what you believe in.
I've seen people who don't believe in their ancestors. I see bad things happening to them. Sometimes the ancestors, they can turn their back on you. And you must know that when they turn their back on you, there's nothing will be okay for you. You know what I mean? Sometimes you find out that someone have nothing. You know what I mean? But maybe in 2 years' time, you see someone change. Someone now is living a good life. Then you say it's lucky. Where does it lucky come from?
It is clear that African football players who have these beliefs crave the kind of spiritual guidance that only the practitioners of traditional beliefs can provide. But with the veil of secrecy that seems to shroud these practices, who do they turn to for this advice, and who can they trust?
The same guy that became a witch doctor for me, or was a witch doctor for me throughout, he decided, because then the prize money was 50,000, he wanted half of that.